The awakening of the paradox. The nebula stretched across the viewport like a vast cosmic tapestry, its swirling gases illuminated in brilliant hues of purple and blue. Captain Maya Chen stood at the bridge of the exploration vessel Artemis, her dark eyes reflecting the celestial light as she studied the sensor readings. "Anything interesting, Rodriguez?" she asked, glancing at her science officer. Lieutenant Rodriguez adjusted his glasses, a habit he maintained despite corrective surgery. "Captain, I'm detecting an anomalous energy signature deep within the nebula. It's faint, but it doesn't match any known natural phenomenon. Could be worth investigating," Chen mused. "Navigation, can we safely approach?" Ensign Park nodded confidently. "The nebula's radiation isn't dangerous at these levels. We can manage it." Chen made her decision. "Take us in, slow approach. Keep sensors at maximum sensitivity. Whatever's in there has stayed hidden for a reason." The Artemis glided forward, its sleek hull designed for both scientific exploration and defensive capabilities if needed. Humanity had learned the hard way that the galaxy wasn't always welcoming. 3 decades of interstellar exploration had brought both wonders and dangers. As they penetrated deeper into the nebula, visibility decreased while sensor readings became increasingly erratic. Rodriguez worked feverishly at his station, compensating for the interference. "Captain, the anomaly is definitely artificial," he announced. "I'm reading a metallic structure approximately 3 kilometers in length. It appears to be a ship." Chen's interest peaked. "A ship that size? That's larger than anything in Earth's fleet." "It's not broadcasting any recognition signals," added Lieutenant Commander Cato, the Artemis's security officer. Her hand instinctively moved toward the weapons console. "Could be a trap, or an ancient derelict," suggested Rodriguez. "These readings suggest it's been here for at least a century, possibly longer." The nebula gases parted, revealing their discovery. The massive vessel hung motionless in space, its dark hull absorbing rather than reflecting light. Unlike the smooth designs of Earth ships, this vessel featured angular sections and what appeared to be retracted weapon emplacements along its spine. "My God," whispered Chen. "What is that?" The ship's design was unlike anything in human records, neither matching known alien civilizations nor human construction. Yet something about its lines felt strangely familiar to Chen. "No identifying markings visible," reported Cato. "No power emissions, but the hull is intact. It doesn't appear damaged." Chen made a decision. "Assemble an away team. Full environmental suits, armed escort. I want to know what this is." Hours later, Chen led her team through the silent corridors of the mysterious vessel. Their helmet lights cut through the darkness, revealing pristine hallways of a material that resembled brushed titanium but was unlike any alloy they'd encountered before. "This technology," Rodriguez whispered as he scanned a closed doorway. "It's centuries beyond our current capabilities, but there's something oddly human about the design architecture." "Human?" Cato questioned skeptically. "We've barely been in space for a century." "I know how it sounds," Rodriguez defended. "But the ergonomics, the proportions, they're designed for human physiology." Chen placed her gloved hand against a wall panel. "He's right. This feels familiar somehow." The exploration team pushed deeper into the ship, passing through what appeared to be crew quarters, storage facilities, and medical bays. Each room was immaculately preserved, as if the crew had simply vanished moments ago, rather than decades or centuries. "Captain," called Ensign Park from ahead, "I think we've found the bridge." The doorway to the bridge was sealed, a single panel glowing faintly beside it. Chen approached cautiously, studying the interface. The symbols were unfamiliar, yet somehow she felt she could almost read them. "Allow me," Rodriguez said, connecting his scanner to the panel. "I might be able to bypass." Before he could finish, the panel suddenly illuminated, and the door slid open silently. The team raised their weapons instinctively. "It just opened for us," Park said nervously. "Stay alert," Chen ordered as they cautiously entered. The bridge was a circular chamber with stations positioned around a central command chair. Unlike the darkness of the corridors, the bridge slowly illuminated as they entered, systems activating with a soft hum. "The ship is responding to our presence," Rodriguez observed, moving toward one of the consoles. "It's powering up." "Is that safe?" Cato questioned, her rifle raised. Before anyone could answer, a holographic projection materialized in the center of the bridge. It coalesced into the form of a humanoid figure, neither male nor female, composed of swirling blue light. "Human life forms detected," it announced in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Access granted to vessel designation. Paradox." Chen stepped forward. "I am Captain Maya Chen of the Earth exploration vessel Artemis. Identify yourself." The hologram tilted its head slightly. "I am the integrated intelligence system of the Paradox. I have been in dormant status for 327 Earth years, awaiting reactivation by compatible human DNA." The away team exchanged bewildered glances. "That's impossible," Cato stated flatly. "Humans didn't have this technology 327 years ago. We barely had combustion engines." "Your historical records are incomplete," the AI responded. "This vessel was constructed in Earth year 2163 using technology derived from dimensional phase shifting." 2163. Rodriguez exclaimed. "That's 40 years from now." The A's form shimmered slightly. "My database indicates probable temporal displacement. Request clarification. Current Earth date: April 2, 2123. Chen replied, trying to process this information. "Are you claiming this ship is from the future?" "Not precisely," the AI corrected. "This vessel exists in a causality loop. It was built using technology that humanity will develop after discovering this very ship." Chen felt a headache forming. "You're saying we find this ship, reverse engineer it, then build it and send it back in time?" "Simplified but essentially correct," the AI confirmed. "The Paradox was created to address a threat that conventional weapons could not defeat." "What threat?" Cato asked tensely. The AI's form darkened slightly. "The Void Collective, an entity that exists partially outside normal spacetime. They have not yet made contact with humanity in your timeline." Rodriguez was frantically recording everything on his scanner. "This is extraordinary. If we could access the ship's database, the technological advancements alone would." A sudden alarm blared through the bridge, cutting him off. The AI's form flashed red. "Alert! Multiple vessels detected on approach vector. Configuration matches Void Collective scout ships." "What?" Chen turned to Cato. "Is the Artemis picking this up?" Cato activated her communicator. "Artemis, this is Cato. Do you detect any vessels approaching our position?" Static answered her. "Communications are being jammed," the AI informed them. "The nebula properties amplify Void Collective interference technology." "How is that possible?" Park asked, panic edging into his voice. "If they don't contact humanity until the future." "A Void Collective advanced scout detected my reactivation sequence," the AI interrupted. "They have been dormant in this sector, waiting. My awakening has alerted them." "We need to return to the Artemis immediately," Chen ordered. "That option is no longer viable," the AI replied as the ship shuddered around them. "The Artemis has been targeted. Destruction imminent." Horror dawned on Chen's face as she realized what was happening. "No." The view screen activated, showing the exterior of the nebula. 3 sleek, black ships surrounded the Artemis. Before the away team could react, beams of violet energy converged on the exploration vessel. The Artemis exploded in a silent flash, debris scattering through the colorful gases of the nebula. Chen stared in disbelief as her ship and the rest of her crew were obliterated. 35 lives snuffed out in an instant. "No," she whispered, her legs nearly giving way. The other team members stood frozen in shock. "The Void Collective will board this vessel next," the AI stated urgently. "They cannot be allowed to access Paradox technology." Recommend immediate activation of primary systems and emergency protocols. Kato snapped out of her shock first, anger replacing grief. You knew this would happen. Negative. Timeline variables have been altered. This encounter is occurring decades before projected first contact. Chen straightened, pushing down her grief with iron discipline. What are our options? The paradox was designed as humanity's final defense against the Void Collective, the AI explained. With minimal crew, I can activate essential systems and engage escape protocols. Another tremor ran through the ship. They're attempting to breach the hull, Rodriguez reported, looking at a console that somehow he already understood how to read. Chen made her decision. Activate your systems. Get us out of here. Confirmed, the AI responded. Initiating emergency departure sequence. All personnel secure for temporal phase shift. The bridge lights shifted to a deep crimson hue as systems hummed to life around them. The remaining 4 humans from the Artemis clung to consoles as the massive ship began to vibrate. Phase engines engaging, the AI announced. Blood tide protocol enabled at minimum capacity. Outside, the 3 Void Collective vessels closed in, their hulls rippling as if not entirely solid. Tendrils of dark energy reached toward the paradox. What's happening? Park asked, watching the view screen in horror. They're attempting to pull us into their dimensional pocket, the AI explained. Standard tactic for capturing technology. The crimson lighting intensified as the ship's systems responded. A wave of energy pulsed from the paradox, disrupting the tendrils. The alien vessels recoiled. Full power to phase engines, the AI commanded itself. The stars on the view screen began to stretch and distort. Temporal displacement in 5 seconds. Chen watched as space itself seemed to fold around the paradox. The nebula, the alien ships, even normal space fell away as the ship entered a realm between dimensions. Where are we going? She asked, struggling to remain standing as reality shifted around them. The AI's form stabilized as the ship completed its transition. To a safe location where you can learn to operate this vessel. The Void Collective has awakened early. The timeline has changed. And what happens then? Kato demanded. The holographic being's expression became something almost resembling determination. Then, Captain Chen, you and your remaining crew will learn why this ship is called the Paradox, and why the Blood Tide Protocol is humanity's last hope against extinction. As the ship stabilized in the strange realm between spaces, Captain Chen looked at her 3 surviving crew members. Their ship destroyed, their comrades dead, thrust into a conflict they didn't understand with technology they couldn't comprehend. Brief us, she commanded the AI, her voice steady despite everything. Tell us everything we need to know. What exactly is the Blood Tide Protocol? The AI's form expanded, filling the bridge with swirling patterns of crimson and blue light as it prepared to reveal secrets that would forever change humanity's place in the cosmos. The Blood Tide Protocol. The Blood Tide Protocol is not merely a weapon. The AI explained as holographic diagrams materialized around the bridge. It is a fundamental restructuring of local space-time to counteract the Void Collective's dimensional advantage. Captain Chen sat in the command chair, trying to absorb the flood of information. 2 days had passed since their escape from the nebula and the destruction of the Artemis. Grief still gnawed at her, but survival demanded focus. Explain these void entities again, she requested. If they exist partly outside our reality, how can we fight them? The AI's form coalesced beside her. The Void Collective evolved in the quantum foam between dimensions. They perceive our universe as resource-rich territory to be harvested. Conventional weapons pass through their quasi-material forms with minimal effect. Rodriguez looked up from the science station, where he'd been studying the ship's database. And that's where the paradox comes in. This ship can somehow affect them directly. Correct. The paradox was designed to operate on multiple dimensional planes simultaneously. Lieutenant Commander Kato hadn't moved far from her weapons console since they'd escaped. You said this ship was built using technology reverse-engineered from itself. That creates a paradox, hence the name. Precisely, the AI confirmed. The temporal mechanics are complex, but essentially, this ship exists in a causality loop. It was created because it needed to exist. Ensign Park called from the navigation station. "Captain, I'm detecting something unusual ahead." The view screen shifted to show what appeared to be a massive space station hidden within an asteroid field. Unlike the sleek lines of the Paradox, this structure was clearly constructed by multiple species working together. Haven Outpost, the AI identified. A coalition base established by species resisting void incursion. In your timeline, this would not be constructed for another 70 years. Chen raised an eyebrow. Are they friendly to humans? Humans are founding members of the coalition. You will be welcomed, though your early arrival will cause confusion. Chen stood, straightening her uniform out of habit. Take us in, but maintain alert status. Just because we're supposedly allies in the future doesn't mean they'll welcome us now. As the Paradox approached the station, they were met by a squadron of diverse ships. The vessels maintained formation around them, neither threatening nor welcoming. We're being hailed, Park announced. On screen, Chen ordered. The view screen shifted to show a being that resembled a humanoid with crystalline features, its body composed of overlapping translucent plates that refracted light in complex patterns. Unknown vessel, the crystalline being spoke, its voice melodic yet firm. You pilot a ship of coalition design, yet it bears no identification. Explain your presence or be deemed hostile. Chen stepped forward. I am Captain Maya Chen of Earth. We discovered this vessel, the Paradox, and were forced to use it when our own ship was destroyed by Void Collective scouts. The beam's crystalline features shifted in what might have been surprise. Earth, humans are not yet coalition members. The Void Collective should not have reached your sector for decades. Timeline disruption confirmed. The Paradox Eye interjected, materializing beside Chen. Guardian Clovex, protocols dictate you grant sanctuary under Provision Omega-3. The crystalline being, apparently Clovex, studied them silently for a moment. Approach Docking Bay 17. Security will escort you to verification. If you are what you claim, we have much to discuss. Hours later, after intensive questioning and DNA verification, Chen and her crew sat in a conference chamber with representatives from 5 different species. Clovex, the crystalline being, appeared to be their leader. Your presence is unprecedented, Clovex stated. The Paradox was believed destroyed in the Battle of Proxima Centauri, 3 decades from now in your timeline. So we're from a past that no longer exists. Cato asked, concern evident in her voice. A being composed of what looked like floating orbs of liquid metal spoke next. Time is not so linear. Captain Chen's discovery of the Paradox before its designated point has created a dimensional fork, a new potential future. The question remains, said a third alien with features resembling an Earth mantis, why have the Void Scouts appeared early? They are meticulous planners who adhere to calculated timetables. Rodriguez hesitantly raised a hand. Could our discovery of the Paradox have triggered something? The AI mentioned that its activation sent out some kind of signal. Clovex's crystalline body shifted colors. The quantum beacon. Of course. The Paradox's phase engines emit a distinctive energy signature across multiple dimensions. It would have alerted any nearby Void Scouts immediately. So we accidentally rang the dinner bell, Chen concluded grimly. What happens now? The liquid metal being rippled thoughtfully. The Void Collective will track the Paradox. They fear it more than any other coalition technology. They will commit significant resources to its destruction. Why? Park asked. What makes this ship so special? Clovex rose, moving to activate a holographic display in the center of the room. The Blood Tide Protocol. It is the only weapon ever developed that can permanently destroy void entities rather than merely repelling them. The hologram showed the paradox surrounded by a sphere of swirling crimson energy, tendrils reaching out to engulf void ships. The protocol creates a dimensional inversion field. Explain the mantis-like alien. It pulls void entities fully into our reality, making them vulnerable to conventional weapons. More importantly, it prevents them from retreating to their dimension. Chen studied the hologram. You're saying this ship can trap them in our reality and destroy them, Kulvex confirmed, which is why they will stop at nothing to eliminate it. And now, you. A signal chimed, and one of the coalition members activated a communication panel. The alien's expression changed to one of alarm. Multiple void signatures detected approaching the outpost. Not scouts, a war fleet. The chamber erupted in controlled chaos as the coalition members began issuing orders. Kulvex turned to Chen. They tracked you faster than anticipated. The outpost's defenses cannot withstand a full assault. You must take the paradox and depart immediately. Run away, Kato challenged, while they destroy this outpost. The outpost is expendable, the liquid metal being stated without emotion. The paradox is not. If it falls to the void, all coalition species face extinction. Chen stood firm. We can't just abandon you. Kulvex approached Chen, towering over her. Captain, you do not understand. The paradox at full capacity could engage the blood tide protocol and defeat this fleet. But its systems are operating at minimal levels, and your crew lacks the training to utilize them effectively. Then train us, Chen insisted. Quickly. The mantis alien chittered in what might have been laughter. Humans, your species' famous stubbornness appears to be consistent across timelines. Kulvex considered for only a moment. Very well. We will transfer essential operational data directly to your neural pathways. It will be unpleasant, but efficient. 30 minutes later, Chen and her crew stumbled back aboard the Paradox, their minds reeling from the direct knowledge transfer. Coalition technicians had worked frantically to boost the ship's systems while they underwent the procedure. Everyone to your stations, Chen ordered, fighting through the headache from the alien information now wedged into her brain. Rodriguez, check phase engine status. Kato, weapons systems. Park, navigation protocols. As they each took their positions, the knowledge began to integrate, their fingers moving across alien controls with growing confidence. Void Fleet 13 minutes from weapons range, Park reported. 27 vessels detected. Chen settled into the command chair. Paradox, status report. The AI materialized. Phase engines at 68% capacity. Blood tide protocol available, but limited to 40% effectiveness without full calibration. Enough to fight? Chen asked. Enough to damage their advance forces and create an escape window. The AI confirmed. Full engagement is not recommended. Chen nodded. Plot a course away from the outpost. We'll draw them off, then engage. As the Paradox pulled away from Haven Outpost, the Void Fleet adjusted course, clearly prioritizing the ship over the station. They're following us, Park confirmed. Outpost is no longer targeted. Chen allowed herself a grim smile. At least we've accomplished that much. Kato, prepare defensive systems. Rodriguez, divert available power to the phase engines and blood tide initiators. The ship accelerated away from the outpost, heading toward an empty sector of space. The Void Fleet pursued, their strange vessels rippling between dimensions as they moved. We can't outrun them, Park warned. They're gaining. Chen studied the tactical display, mentally processing the newly implanted knowledge. We don't need to outrun them. We need them close together. Paradox, can we execute a temporal jump with minimal preparation? Inadvisable, the AI responded, but possible. Then prepare to jump on my mark. Rodriguez set blood tide initiators to activate immediately upon reemergence. Her crew worked quickly, the alien knowledge guiding their actions. The pursuing fleet drew closer, the lead ships beginning to fire strange energy beams that distorted space around them. Shields holding, Kato reported. but they're trying to create a dimensional pocket around us. Now, paradox, Chen ordered. Execute jump. Space twisted around them as the phase engines engage. For a heartbeat, the paradox existed between dimensions before re-emerging directly behind the void fleet. Blood tide protocol initiating, the AI announced as crimson energy began to emanate from the ship. The effect was immediate and dramatic. As the red field expanded to engulf the nearest void vessels, they seemed to solidify, their semi-transparent hulls becoming fully material. "They're trapped in our reality," Rodriguez exclaimed. "It's working." "Weapons free," Chen commanded. "Target the solidified vessels." Kato didn't hesitate, firing the paradox's strange weaponry. Beams of coherent energy sliced through the now vulnerable void ships. 3 exploded in silent bursts of exotic matter. The remaining fleet began to scatter, attempting to escape the expanding crimson field. Several succeeded, slipping away into their dimensional refuge, but 5 more were caught and destroyed before they could retreat. "The protocol is destabilizing," the AI warned. "Power levels insufficient to maintain field integrity." Chen nodded. "Deactivate blood tide. Prepare for another jump." As the crimson field collapsed, the remaining void vessels regrouped, clearly more cautious now. "They're surrounding us," Park warned. "Cutting off escape vectors." Chen studied the tactical display. "They're being careful not to get too close together again." "Smart. Phase engines need 4 minutes to recharge for another jump," Rodriguez reported. "We won't last that long under concentrated fire." Chen closed her eyes briefly, accessing the implanted knowledge. There was one option, but it carried tremendous risk. "Paradox," she addressed the AI. "The coalition briefing mentioned a quantum resonance cascade. Is it operational?" The AI's form flickered. "The cascade is a last resort measure. It would destabilize the phase engines and potentially create a permanent dimensional rift in this sector. But it would destroy the void fleet." Chen pressed. "Affirmative. And likely the paradox as well." Chen looked at her 3 remaining crew members. Each nodded in silent understanding. "We've already lost the Artemis and most of our crew," Kato said quietly. "If we can stop these things from reaching Earth early." Chen made her decision. "Initiate quantum resonance cascade." "Full power." "Acknowledged," the AI responded. "Cascade initiating. Recommend all personnel secure for extreme gravitational distortion." The bridge lighting shifted to a deep purple as energy began to build within the ship's core. The void vessels sensed the danger, accelerating toward them from all directions. "They know what we're doing," Rodriguez observed. "They're trying to stop us before the cascade completes." Chen gripped the arms of the command chair as the ship began to vibrate violently. "Time to completion. 30 seconds, the AI reported. Void weapons impacting shields. Integrity at 62% and falling. The view screen showed the void vessels converging, their strange weapons distorting space around the paradox. Alarms blared as systems began to overload. 15 seconds, the AI counted down. Shield integrity critical. Chen looked at her crew one last time. "It's been an honor serving with you all." "Cascade reaching critical threshold," the AI announced. "Dimensional stability compromised." Space itself seemed to fracture around them, reality splitting into visible shards as the quantum resonance reached its peak. The void vessels closest to them began to break apart, unable to maintain cohesion as dimensions collided. Chen closed her eyes, expecting the end. Instead, a strange calm descended. She opened her eyes to see the bridge bathed in golden light. The view screen showed not destruction, but a perfect stillness, as if time itself had stopped. "Paradox," she called uncertainly. The eye appeared, its form more solid somehow. Unexpected outcome. The cascade has created a stable pocket dimension. The void fleet has been destroyed, but the paradox exists now in a dimensional intersection. "What does that mean for us?" Park asked, looking around in wonder. It means, came a new voice, that you have succeeded beyond all expectations. A figure materialized on the bridge, a human woman in a uniform similar to but more advanced than Chen's. Admiral Harris. The AI acknowledged. Timeline convergence confirmed. The woman, Admiral Harris, smiled at their confused expressions. Captain Chen, welcome to what you might call the future. When you activated the cascade, you didn't destroy the paradox. You completed its journey. I don't understand, Chen admitted. The paradox was never meant to be a weapon, Harris explained. It was designed as a bridge between timelines. Your actions have connected our present with your past, creating a stable loop that ensures the coalition forms earlier and stronger than in the original timeline. You knew this would happen, Cato asked incredulously. Harris shook her head. We hoped. The records of your discovery of the paradox were fragmented. We knew the ship disappeared during a cascade event, but not what followed. So what happens now? Chen asked. Now, Harris said, gesturing to the view screen where coalition ships could be seen approaching, you and your crew become part of our timeline. Your knowledge of the early void incursion will help us prepare Earth decades ahead of schedule. And the paradox's successful demonstration of the blood tide protocol has already sent the main void forces into retreat. Chen stood, attempting to process this new reality. And Earth. Our Earth in our time. Harris' expression grew solemn. That timeline continues, but changed. Without the paradox appearing when and where it did in your time, the void will not discover Earth prematurely. Your sacrifice has protected both versions of humanity. As coalition vessels surrounded the paradox in a protective formation, Shen realized they had achieved something profound. Not just survival, but the creation of a new future, one where humanity stood ready to face the void threat with allies and technology beyond anything they could have imagined. The blood tide protocol, she mused, watching the coalition fleet through the view screen. It wasn't just about the weapon, was it? It was about changing the tide of history itself. Exactly, Captain, Harris confirmed. Or should I say, Admiral Chen. Your place in our history books awaits. As the paradox moved forward with its escort, Captain Maya Chen understood that they had become part of something much larger than themselves, a paradox that had saved humanity by breaking the rules of time itself.